Before I get into this video, I just want to say that um, that before seeing this, I didn't care that he voted for Joe Biden. I Because that's the joy of this country. We have choices. We have a right to be different from one another um, in our political views, our opinions on things. Um, and for someone that I considered pro American for quite a while, this, um, I would still, if I personally knew him, I would still be cool with him. Along goes with Dwayne Johnson or John Cena, um, or any person that may have a different political view from me, but still is a very pro American person. So, 3, 2, 1, let's go. What's going on, guys? Austin AU here. So, for the past few days, I've been hearing a lot of people that are very pro American and or very athletic talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger, how he has said, and I quote, screw your freedom. And I was kind of like, wait a minute, this doesn't sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And up until um, up until recently, I found this.
Screw your freedom, and not just to think about, well, my freedom is being kind of disturbed here. No, screw your freedom.
After much deliberation, we have decided at Redcon 1 to no longer sponsor the Arnold Classic or any of the Arnold events around the world, and also not attend the Arnold events. And this is a very difficult decision because me personally and everybody at Redcon 1 has always loved Arnold. Since I was 13 years old, I remember Arnold and Predator doing this to tell everybody to stop, and me looking at that with my dad and saying, that's cool, that's what I want to be. I want to be just like this guy. And over the years, I've overlooked a lot of stuff. You probably too, have overlooked a lot of stuff with Arnold where we say, well, that's just Arnold, right? And, because we love him so much, we just keep overlooking and overlooking and overlooking. Well, unfortunately, his most recent comments,
and not just to think about, well, my freedom is being kind of disturbed here. No, screw your freedom.
So when somebody says screw your freedom, I can't, and Redcon 1 can't in good conscience continue to spend, hundreds of thousands of dollars sponsoring that person or a show with a name, honoring that person. So there's no way that I can continue, Redcon 1 can continue in good conscience supporting Arnold Classic for the future. And I really wish that wasn't the case. And this is certainly not a partisan issue. I'm not saying right, left, whatever. America's great because there's freedoms. Arnold is free to say the things he wants to say, right? He may say things I totally disagree with. Somebody else may say things that I find disgusting, but that's what makes America great. You have the ability to say it, I have the ability to disagree, and I'm voting with Redcon $1, then I don't want to be any part of that. And that
He's pretty on point. I mean, that's a great thing about America. We have freedoms, we have the right to agree and disagree and make our own choices. Um, I also found this from another um, athletic gentleman. Hold on a sec. This message is from a gentleman by the name of Shaw Strength.
What's up, guys? As many of you know, I am a proud American. I train with an American flag on the wall of my gym, and I'm also a big believer in freedom. Now, there are a lot of people in our country right now that have forgotten that freedom is very important. Also, I have trained with a picture poster of Arnold Schwarzenegger on the wall of my gym basically since I started training because Arnold was a huge influence on me. Now, Arnold has made some comments recently, and he is free to say whatever he wants to say, but when you say something like screw your freedom, it doesn't sit well with me, and I know it doesn't sit well with a lot of other Americans out there, and therefore, I will no longer be training with a poster of Arnold on the wall of my gym. It's time for it to come down.
If you guys want to see these videos yourself, they're on Instagram. The last one was Shaw Strength saying freedom is important. The other one was Redcon 1, and their video was Redcon 1 will and cannot support Arnold anymore. Um, and I don't get me wrong, we have an absolute right to say stuff like this. But when you're basically like say you're as he just said, screw your freedom. That's where I was kind of like, what the hell is going on with Arnold? Arnold Schwarzenegger, yes, he's a bodybuilder, but he's also a former Olympian representing the United States, former governor of California in the Republican Party. Not that political parties necessarily matter, but still, gotten to the Hollywood business in Predator, Terminator, Kindergarten Cop, and one that I know, not the best film, but I don't think anyone else could have played the role and done pretty good. Mr. Freeze in Batman and Robin with George Clooney and Chris O'Donnell. And like I said, I've seen this man as a very pro-American person, and of course, and what's funny is, I already can see someone asking me, regardless if it's here or in person, what about Dwayne Johnson or John Cena? Those those former wrestlers, former pro wrestlers, they can have a different political view from me. I still see them as very pro American people. And if they, like, people gave John Cena grief for apologizing to a country that wants us dead, basically. Okay, I really don't care. Dwayne Johnson supported Kamala Harris and Joe Biden for a while. Okay, cool. I mean, if I personally knew those guys, we could still be friends. We could still work out. We could still um, do some very active sports together, like basketball, football, whatever it may be. But Arnold, Arnold Schwarzenegger, seen to me, but before this, always seen to, in my eyes, as a pro-American person, loved this country, and always show, and one of the few people that I don't personally know, but I felt like was a good example to me, saying that hard work can pay off. But then all of a sudden you're like, screw your freedom. What the hell? Heck, I even let this slide. He made a video back in March talking about how the 4 years of Trump being in office was as bad as how he grew up in Austria. Don't get me wrong. I feel bad that you had to go through that with an alcoholic father, very abusive to you and your child, or so, sorry, blah, blah, blah. Very abusive to you, to your mother. I'm sorry to hear that. But out of all the celebrities, all the Hollywood actors and actresses that actually know what's going on in this country, regardless if they keep their mouth shut or not, you out of all of them should know damn well that Trump has actually done good for this country. Not saying he's a saint or an angel, but still. I love my country very, very much. I hope we can keep our freedoms to this very day. And it breaks my heart a whole lot that you've got those few celebrities, even those that were a former governor of California, a very conservative person, would basically say something like, screw your freedom. God help us, and I love y'all.